everyone, and welcome back to Steel City Mukbang Variety Pod. I am your host, Tara Molina, also known as T-Rex, that is T-E-E-R-E-X. And like I always tell you, if you see me on the street, feel free to call me that. It's much better than saying, "Hey, Auntie." I hate that. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm so glad you came back for another edition. This is episode 3, edition 3 on racism. Well, like I told you on the last podcast, there are different components to racism, and I named those for you, and I'll briefly run through the 6 again because we did touch on 2 of those, actually 3 of those on our last edition. Racism is comprised of 6 components: individual racism, interpersonal racism, institutional racism, structural and systemic racism. We count that as 2 in 1 because they're so very similar. Cultural and internalized. Today, we're going to touch on cultural and internalized racism. Let's start with cultural. Let's get that one out of the way first. Cultural racism is how media, traditions, and cultural messages reinforce the idea that one race is superior. An example of that: stereotypes in movies, or lack of representation of certain groups in leadership roles and in movies. Another great example that we're going to use for this podcast is the NFL. The NFL, established August 20th, 1920, as the American Pro Football Association, renamed in 1922 NFL, National Football League. It is stated that Fritz Pollard became a co-head coach in 1921 of the Akron Pros. He was a black man in 1921. But you notice I said he was a co-head coach. He was not allowed to be a coach by himself on his own. He still had to serve yet again under a white head coach. You may as well call that an assistant coach. You're not really the head coach. It wasn't again until 1989. Now we're jumping, okay? We're jumping from 1921 all the way to 1989 before we had another black coach. And this time he was a head coach all by himself. 1989, Art Shell of the Oakland Raiders. Now, I don't know if you're seeing the problem with that or not, but you do know that the National Football League is comprised of a majority of black men. There is a majority of black men playing football, but they're misrepresented as far as who is coaching them. There should be more teams that have black coaches. And so I would say, for the number of black men that we have in the NFL, they are highly misrepresented when it comes to who is coaching them. There are 32 teams in the NFL. As of the beginning of this 2025 season, 5 teams out of 32 have black coaches. Now, I just want to say my sources today are coming from Wikipedia, LA Times, and Washington Post. The teams today that have black coaches are Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my team. Pittsburgh has always been great about racial equality. The Rooneys, an awesome family. Non-prejudice, always willing to do something to help the advancement of minorities, whether it be black, gay, religious minority. The Rooneys are right there. The Rooneys are responsible for the Rooney Rule that insisted that the NFL needed to increase its diversity in leadership and coaching ranks, especially for coaches and the front office. The rule was designed in 2003 when discussions came up and the league was criticized for having a lack of black head coaches. So the Rooneys designed this rule that made it possible for the league to start hiring black coaches and promoting coordinators that were often overlooked for head coaching positions because they were black. So and these were all qualified people. These were former players. They were former trainers. But they couldn't get promoted to a head coach. And who would know the position better than a former player? So it was obvious discrimination. I got sidetracked there because I love the Rooneys and I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. But our other black head coaches, Todd Bowles for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, DeMeco Ryans, Houston Texans, Jared Mayo for the New England Patriots. Also, the quarterback position was a position once held by only white men. In fact, it takes us back to Fritz Pollard, who was the co-head coach. He was also the first black quarterback, and this was prior to the NFL being named the National Football League. Back in the 1920s, Fritz Pollard, first black quarterback. In the modern day NFL, once it did become the National Football League, the first black quarterback then was Willie Thrower, and the first black quarterback to start a game was Marlon Briscoe. Not only was he the starter, he also led the team for the entire football season. However, that was in the American Football League, the AFL, in 1968. In 1969, for the NFL, James Shaq Harris is considered to be the first black quarterback to open a season as a designated starter and lead the Buffalo Bills through the entire season. So that is an example of cultural racism. Another good example is in the movies, hiring white actors to portray black characters when they could have just gotten a black actor in the first place. What is the point? Why go through all the hassle of trying to make a white man or a woman look black for a part in a movie when you can get a black actor to play their own race? That's another one to ponder. I think it's really baffling when you see a commercial and the company never has a black person advertising the commercial, the product. They never have a black person. Now, I'm not speaking of any specific company, but I have seen this in the past. I don't have one that I'm targeting right now, but there are places that I have seen advertise and never use a black person. I've gone as far as to send in emails and ask, do black people use your products? Is this product for black people? Because you know it is. Black people spend more money on products than white people on an average. We spend the most money. And I'm sure that your product is used by black people. So why is it not being advertised to that market? You're marketing it as though it's only for white people. What if white people only start to buy it? And you lose that income from blacks. That's called boycotting. We can do that. We can have every black person never buy from you again and see how much money you lose. Of course, I never got any responses, but at least they knew. At least I got the message to them. And like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but just think about that. Why does that happen? You've got black people using your product, buying your product more than white people, but when you're advertising it, you make it seem as though only white people use this. It's only made for white people. That's the assumption that I get from it. Show some black people using your product so that we know that it's for us too. Don't discriminate, because you're not discriminating when you're counting our money, because it's green. That's what cultural racism is. The next is internalized racism. This, to me, is the saddest of all. Internalized racism. Let's read the definition of it. It's when people of marginalized racial groups absorb negative messages about their own worth. Example, believing that lighter skin is more beautiful or better than dark skin. This is a tough one because it happens too frequently. Let's start with hair. We are criticized and mocked, ostracized because of our hair that grows naturally from our head, just like every white person. But because ours doesn't grow out straight, it grows out kinky, then that means we are less than, we are not beautiful. That's what society would have you think. And that was pounded into our heads over the generations, beginning from slavery. Nappy head. Nappy head. That was used as a derogatory term for us. Kinky hair. After that is pounded into your head so much, you begin to think, well, something is wrong with my hair. Something's wrong with the way my hair grows naturally from my head. So I'm going to do something to change it. Products were created. Tools were created. The straightening comb, perms, relaxers, all of that was created so that black people could have hair that looked like white people, because oftentimes we were denied jobs because our hair. Discriminating against something, that's like discriminating against someone who was born with no arm. They could not help that. Like, you can't have a job here because you were born with no arm. You can't have a job here, or you can, but you're going to have to change your hair. You're going to have to do something about it. So we're forced to put chemicals that damage our hair, or tools that burn our hair and our skin. If you get it too close to your skin, in order to fit in order to get a job, in order to look like white people in society. Why are we having to look like white people? Why did they want us to look like them in the first place? Your hair needs to look like mine. You need to do something with that. Well, this is the way God gave it to me. So if it means I have to give up a job, then I'll give up the job. Because I'm not going to damage my hair or burn myself to look like something I'm not. I'm not white. So why do I have to have white hair? Good hair. Yeah, good hair was straight, silky, long, flowing hair. That's good hair. Bad hair is mine. Tight curls, kinky, and nappy. That's supposed to be bad hair. I don't consider my hair bad. Not at all. I consider it what God gave me. And I am keeping it. I was caught in that same trap as a child. Having parents born in the 1930s. Of course, that stigma, that stereotype that we had bad hair and we had to make it straight. My mother straightened my hair every 2 weeks with a straightening comb. That iron comb that you set on the fire, open flame. Back then, since then, heating plates came about, but we're going to go back to when I was a kid. You set that iron comb on an open flame until it is red hot. And then you carefully comb it through your hair until your hair is straight. Now, it didn't last long. First good sweat or the first good rain or shower splashing your hair took it right back home, is what we used to say. Oh, your hair went home. So sometimes that process happened more than every 2 weeks. And then came the chemicals. Chemically straighten your hair. Those chemicals are so dangerous. Not only do they damage your hair, thin it out, and you may or may not get it back to its natural state. It could leave you bald. It could leave you with alopecia for the rest of your life. It's possible. Not only that, but if it seeps into your skin while it's sitting on your scalp, you can become sick. It happened to me. I went to a place to get my hair curled. And the perm that they put on my hair to straighten it out and curl it, it sat on my head for so long that it started to seep under the skin. I got violently ill right there at the salon in the chair. I had to excuse myself. I had to jump up and run to the bathroom. I was that nauseated from that perm. I didn't know until months later that I was getting blood poisoning from the chemical. I felt so weird sitting in that chair. I was dizzy, nauseated. I didn't know what was wrong at that time. But that chemical burnt me so bad and got into my bloodstream, I was getting blood poisoning. Now, I got better on my own, but didn't find out what was going on until too late to do anything legally about it. Because the salon should have known not to leave it on that long. They should have known, but that's beside the point. That's a whole different story. The problem is the extremes that we go through to fit into the box that society, mainly white society, claims that we should be in. The extremes that we will go through. Self-harm, self-mutilation is what that was. Burning yourself, until you have scars and scabs in your head. Because that white person over there said my hair was nappy and didn't look as good as a white woman, and I needed to do something with it. I'm so glad I got past that. I'm so glad that I started to realize my hair is beautiful no matter what. Exactly the way it came out, it is beautiful. And sometimes I even think that white people think it's beautiful too. They don't really see a problem with it. It's just that we can be so versatile with our hair. Braids, afros, shortcuts, all types of things that we can do with our hair. Dreadlocks. They became envious. White people became envious that we could do so much with our hair. And they just wanted us to damage it so that it wasn't possible for us to have so many different styles and designs that we could do, and they could do none. Sometimes I think that. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I feel that way sometimes. And I'm probably right. The other internalization of racism is skin color. If you're not light skinned, high yellow, if you are dark black, African black, till you have a blue cast or purple cast to your skin, where only your teeth show up in the dark, that was supposed to be unattractive. Again, something that we were born with. Imagine feeling like there's something wrong with your skin because you're blue black and you can't do anything about it because it's your skin. What are you supposed to do about it? Well, then came skin bleaching. Black people bleaching their skin to try to be lighter because of the treatment that we receive as black people. What these people don't realize that go as far as to bleach their skin is that you are still black. I don't care how light skin you make yourself, you are still black. And the white people know it, and they're still going to treat you the same way. Just because you lighten your skin doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change your race. It doesn't change your race. So why go through the hassle? They're not going to like you any better. If they're a racist, they're not going to like you any better because you brightened your skin from blue black to caramel. It won't happen. We come in so many different beautiful shades of brown. Everything from, like I said, high yellow all the way to purple black and everything in between. That's something to envy. That is something to envy. When you are only capable of one shade. I'm being honest. Say what you want. Everybody can have their opinion. You can have yours. Just hit the comment section. Say what you want to say about it. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. I don't really care. My opinion's not going to change. But people are hating themselves because they're too dark, their hair is too nappy, and they're going to these extremes to try to change it because someone else has told them that this is not attractive. This is not how society is supposed to look. Society wants little molds of white people. Even if it's only the hair that you can change, you better have straight hair, straight, silky hair. Oh, and let's not mention the wigs and the weaves. Don't take me there. I'm going to go there. I'm going there. We will wear wigs until we no longer have a hairline. Just because that wig is nice and straight and you can flip it. You'll go spend $400 or $500 to have someone else's hair sewn in or woven in or braided in to your own hair. Just so you can flip it. I wish as a society we could stop it. It looks nice sometimes. Sometimes it's hideous. But it is damaging your natural hair. You're damaging your body. Just because you want to flip your hair like a white woman because they told you that it had to be that way. I wish we could get out of that. I wish every single black woman and man, because men perm their hair as well, I wish every black woman and man would wear their natural hair. In any way you want. Even if you just want to let it grow in and do nothing to it, just let it go. Whatever direction it's going to go. I just wish we would do that as a black society. But I know it's not going to ever happen. Not ever. But I can wish and I can pray and I can hope. That's all. But that's it in a nutshell. Cultural and internalized racism. I don't know. It's just it's a horrible way to have to live. It's a horrible way to have to live. I hope if you're using perms and wearing wigs, I hope it's just because you want to. I hope it's just because you like them and not because you feel like you have to cover up your natural beauty. Guys, I want to thank you again for joining me for these episodes on racism because, like I said, it's running so rampant and it has throughout all history that I could go on and on and on about it. On and on. I could use that as the topic and that would be the only topic I would need, but that would get boring. I may do one more edition on racism, and that is if I can get my guest. I'm trying to get a guest for you. I'm still working on that. If I'm able to get him, we will have one more edition. And if I am not able to book this guest, then we'll be moving on to a new topic on Steel City Mukbang Variety Pod when you see me next time. But until then, I thank you so much for joining me, as always. You can now find me on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, and Spotify. So make sure you check me out. On Amazon and Apple, you'll just get the audio version. I appreciate anywhere you listen to or watch me. And I do have a link that I am providing for you in the description that will take you to my Shopify store. I now have an e-commerce store. Well, I've always had it, but I was selling only merch associated with my TikTok page. But now I am starting to sell all types of products and merchandise and turning it into a basic e-commerce store. And I would love for you to come and join it. Check me out. Just browse around. You may see something, you may not, but I am weekly adding new products. So keep checking back. I love you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you again soon.